Supreme Court has issued directions to move stray dogs in the Delhi-NCR region to shelters. The court was hearing a suo motu case against increasing incidents of infants and senior citizens falling prey to rabies. The court said that there should be no room for sentiment and that action should be taken against anyone hindering the rounding up of stray dogs, noting that it was progressive. The court has directed the authorities to begin with dog shelters for 5,000 dogs in the next 8 weeks. However, the Supreme Court's order may be tough for implementation. Here's why. The National Capital Region is home to around 10 lakh community dogs, and there is currently no existing capacity for their shelters. Ashmit now joins us to explain where things currently stand, how serious the rabies issue is, moreover, who is responsible for managing the dog population in the NCR. Ashmit, directions coming in there from the Supreme Court, a very sweeping order, but there are practical challenges on the ground. Let's take our viewers through what it will take to actually implement this order.
Well, the numbers are simply not adding up. The first target that the Supreme Court has given in that 6 to 8 weeks is when we need a shelter ready for 5,000 dogs. But the total number of dogs that we have on hand here in Delhi-NCR is north of that, is 10 lakh. So while you wrap your head around that number, let's answer some of these interesting questions that have come up. Firstly, the fact that the Supreme Court has taken suo motu cognizance, has shown a sense of urgency, has said that there is no time for sentiment, refused to hear any arguments by animal rights activists, gives the impression that there's an outbreak of rabies as far as our country is concerned. But referring to data that was provided by the government to the parliament, that data very clearly reveals that there were 54 cases of rabies-related deaths in 2024. Now, while that's tragic, it pales in comparison when you look at student suicide. For perspective, 13,000 a year. Even by strike on account of lighting, that's 2,800 deaths per year. That's just to give you perspective in terms of where rabies stands as a cause of death. Moving forward, where does the responsibility lie? Is this a conflict of law? Now, bear in mind that the Supreme Court order sits in a very interesting position. Interesting why? Is because without striking down the law of the land, it has given directions which are diametrically opposite to the way the situation exists on the ground. Why do we say that? Well, as far as the current regime is concerned, it is governed by the Animal Birth Control Rules, or they otherwise called the ABC rules of 2023. They were notified in 2023. These rules very clearly provide for sterilization, immunization, and even for feeding of dogs. The fact that these directions have been given suggests that they appear to be diametrically opposite to the ABC rules. And also importantly, these rules do not provide for relocation of dogs, especially not en masse. So that begs the question that if not relocation, what's the answer? Well, the answer has been for a very long time. What animal activists have been saying is that there needs to be smart management of the population. But whose job is that? If you find yourself wondering, how did the population grow to 10 lakh? Whose responsibility is that? Who should have been in charge? Well, again, we're referring to a response that was given by the union government to the parliament, which very clearly spells out that it's the responsibility of the municipal authorities to be in charge of managing the population of the stray dog population. And here again, the ABC rules come into the picture. The ABC rules, again, they provide for sterilization and immunization of dogs, and that responsibility has been cast on the shoulders of the municipal authorities. So that's as far as who's responsible for the 10 lakh dog population, stray dog population in the national capital. But when we look at what the solutions are, the Apex Court has a very different perspective. The Supreme Court is saying, look, we want to round up all of these dogs and then subsequently put them in dog shelters. But how feasible is that? The reason we're asking the question is because the very first question is, do we even have a dog shelter in Delhi? The short answer, no. The response that fell from the Solicitor General, who was appearing for the Delhi government, very clearly said that there was a process that got started for identification of land, but there was litigation after that. There was a Delhi High Court stay. So the answer is, as of today, there is no dog shelter in the national capital. The answer that the Supreme Court has given is that we're giving you 6 to 8 weeks' time and use that time for constructing a dog shelter for 5,000 people. But one of the biggest dog shelters that is found in Romania houses no more than 3,000 dogs. So that just gives you a sense of perspective, a sense of proportion, that when we're looking at housing these dogs, we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,000 to 5,000 dogs as one of the world's largest. But here in Delhi, we're looking at over 10 lakh stray dogs. And that's, in fact, one of the questions, Shireen, that a lot of animal activists are asking, that the implementation of this order seems unworkable, seems challenging, and at this point raises very serious questions.
For more news and updates, all you need to do is follow CNBC TV18 on all of our digital platforms.